Hello, English learners. I'm Emma, your host for today. If you're new here, I'd love to let you know that we upload a brand new English learning video every single day on this channel to help you improve your English faster, more naturally, and with real confidence. In today's episode, you're going to do much more than just listen. You're going to build your speaking skills, expand your vocabulary, and learn how to express your daily life clearly in English. Because today, we're diving into a topic that every English learner must master if they truly want to sound fluent. Talking about your day in English, from beginner all the way to advanced level. We'll go step by step through real-life daily routines, from simple morning sentences to more detailed afternoon conversations, and even advanced ways to describe emotions, experiences, and reflections about your day. Along the way, you'll hear natural sentence structures, practical vocabulary, and fluency phrases that native speakers use in everyday life. So you don't just learn English, you live it. Whether you're describing what you did in the morning, explaining how your work or studies went, talking about plans with friends, or reflecting on how your day felt emotionally, this lesson will help you organize your thoughts in English and speak with clarity and confidence. By the end of this video, you'll be able to talk about your entire day smoothly, using beginner sentences, intermediate expansions, and advanced fluency expressions. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss another daily English learning lesson designed to build your fluency step by step. So, take a deep breath, relax your mind, and if you can, grab a notebook and a pen, because today, you're not just learning English, you're learning how to tell the story of your day in fluent, natural English. Let's get started. It's a beautiful feeling when you can talk about your day in English, not just in short sentences, but in a way that feels natural, detailed, and expressive. Because your day is your story, and when you can describe it clearly, you unlock one of the most powerful speaking skills in the English language. So today, we begin gently, simply, step by step, starting from the kind of English every beginner can use, and slowly building toward the kind of fluency that allows you to speak with confidence in any situation. Let's begin with the morning, because every day starts somewhere, and morning English is often the easiest place to begin practicing. Imagine you just woke up, and someone asks you, "How was your morning?" A beginner might say, "My morning was good." That's correct, simple, and clear. But we can expand it, little by little. I woke up early today. I woke up at 7 a.m. I woke up feeling fresh and relaxed. Do you notice how each sentence adds more detail? This is how fluency grows, not by replacing simple English, but by building on it. Now let's practice together, in a natural speaking rhythm. Repeat in your mind, after hearing each structure. I woke up early today. I brushed my teeth and got ready. I had breakfast with my family. I drank a cup of tea. I checked my phone after waking up. These are real daily sentences, and when you practice them slowly, calmly, they become automatic in conversation. As your confidence grows, you begin connecting actions. After I woke up, I went to the kitchen. After brushing my teeth, I took a shower. Once I finished breakfast, I started my work. Linking actions together is the bridge between beginner and intermediate English, because real life doesn't happen in single sentences, it happens in sequences. Let's visualize a full beginner morning description together. Imagine you are telling a friend about your day. Today I woke up at 7 in the morning. I felt a little sleepy, but I got out of bed quickly. I brushed my teeth, washed my face, and took a shower. After that, I had breakfast. I ate eggs and toast and drank a cup of coffee. Then I got dressed and prepared for my day. Notice how natural this sounds. This is the foundation of daily English fluency. Now let's expand the emotional layer, because advanced fluency is not only about actions, it's about feelings. Instead of saying only, I woke up early, you might say, I woke up early, but I still felt tired. Or, I woke up early and felt very motivated. Emotions make your English human, expressive, alive. Let's practice emotional morning expressions together. I woke up feeling energetic. I woke up feeling stressed about my work. I didn't want to leave my bed because it was so comfortable. I felt excited about the plans I had today. When you add feelings, your listener understands your experience, not just your routine. Now let's move gently into intermediate expansion. Imagine someone asks you, what do you usually do in the morning? You could answer, usually, I wake up around 6:30. I like to stretch for a few minutes before getting out of bed. Then I prepare a light breakfast and listen to music while eating. It helps me start my day calmly. Notice the rhythm, the detail, the personal touch. This is conversational fluency, developing naturally. Practice this longer flow with me, mentally. In the morning, I try not to use my phone immediately. I prefer to sit quietly and plan my day. Sometimes I write my goals in a notebook. It makes me feel organized. This kind of English sounds thoughtful, natural, and more advanced compared to short beginner replies. Now let's build vocabulary around morning routines, because vocabulary gives color to your sentences. Instead of always saying breakfast, you can say a quick snack, a healthy meal, a heavy breakfast. Instead of tired, you might say exhausted, sleepy, drained. Instead of happy, you could say cheerful, excited, positive. Vocabulary variety signals language growth. Let's integrate vocabulary into a full speaking example. This morning, I woke up feeling slightly exhausted. Because I slept late last night, I quickly freshened up and made myself a healthy breakfast. While eating, I listened to a motivational podcast, which made me feel more positive about the day ahead. This is already moving toward advanced fluency, and you're building it, step by step. Now let's do a guided speaking practice. Imagine you are speaking to me directly. Describe your morning using this flow. Today, I woke up at. Pause and think. After waking up, I felt. Pause again. Then, I. After that, I. Before starting my day, I. This guided structure trains your brain to think in English sequence. As your speak-in becomes smoother, you begin adding time expressions. At first, then. After that, later, finally. These connectors create storytelling flow. For example, at first, I didn't want to wake up. Then I remembered. I had important work to do. After that, I quickly got ready. Finally, I left the house, feeling prepared. See how your day becomes a narrative. Now imagine a slightly more advanced reflection. My morning didn't go exactly as planned. I woke up late. Because my alarm didn't ring, I had to rush through my routine. I skipped breakfast, which made me feel low on energy later. This type of expression shows situational fluency, describing problems and consequences. Let's practice contrast sentences. Although I woke up late, I still reached work on time. Even though I felt tired, I completed my tasks. While my morning started badly, it improved later. Contrast language is essential for advanced daily storytelling. Now let's slow down and practice a full layered morning description together. Let the sentences flow naturally in your mind. This morning, I woke up earlier than usual. At first, I felt very sleepy and didn't want to get out of bed. But after a few minutes, I forced myself to wake up. I stretched my body, drank a glass of water, and went to freshen up. After that, I prepared a simple but healthy breakfast. While eating, I thought about my goals for the day. It made me feel focused and mentally prepared. Do you notice the journey, action, feeling, reflection? That combination creates fluent daily English. Now let's gently transition toward describing the late morning, because your day doesn't stop after breakfast. Maybe you went to work, college, school, or stayed home. Each situation creates new vocabulary opportunities. You might say, after finishing my morning routine, I left for work. Or, I logged into my online classes. Or, I started doing household chores. Daily life English adapts to your lifestyle, and fluency grows when you personalize it. Let's expand a work example. I reached my office around 9 a.m. I checked my emails first. Then I attended a team meeting. We discussed our weekly targets and upcoming projects. This is practical, intermediate workplace English within daily storytelling, or a student version. I arrived at college at 8:30. My first lecture was about economics. I took notes carefully because the topic was important. During the break, I talked with my classmates. Education vocabulary blends naturally into daily routine speech. Now let's add emotional reflections again. I felt productive during the morning meeting. I was nervous before my presentation. I felt relieved after finishing my assignment. Emotional narration deepens fluency further. Now practice a combined late morning description. After reaching work, I felt slightly overwhelmed because I had many tasks pending. I started by organizing my desk and planning my priorities. Once I created a task list, I felt more in control of my workload. This type of structured speaking shows cognitive fluency, describing thought, processes, not just actions. Take a moment now and mentally describe your own late morning. Where were you? What were you doing? How did you feel? The more you personalize, the more natural your English becomes. And this is how, step by step, your simple daily routine transforms into fluent English storytelling. As the day continues, your experiences begin to expand, and this is where your English can grow richer, more descriptive, more expressive, because the middle of the day often carries the most activity, the most interaction, and the most opportunities to speak. Let's move into the afternoon, a time when your energy shifts, your responsibilities deepen, and your conversations become more situational. Imagine someone asks you, "How has your day been so far?" A beginner might say, "My day is going good. Simple, correct, but we can build on it. My day has been quite busy so far. It's been productive. It's been a little stressful, but manageable. See how one small question opens the door to layered expression. Now, let's describe common afternoon routines. You might say, in the afternoon, I usually focus on my most important tasks. Or, after lunch, I feel more relaxed and ready to continue my work. Or even, the afternoon is when I feel the most energetic. Each sentence reflects not only activity, but personal rhythm. Let's slow down and build a full afternoon description together. After finishing my morning work, I took a short lunch break. I had rice, vegetables, and some juice. Lunch helped me recharge my energy. After eating, I took a brief walk outside. The fresh air made me feel refreshed. Then I returned to my work and continued my tasks. Notice the natural sequencing: action, effect, continuation. Now let's add conversational interaction because afternoons often include communication, meetings, calls, discussions. You might say, in the afternoon, I had a meeting with my manager. I spoke to a client about a project update. I helped my colleague solve a problem. These sentences reflect professional daily life English. Let's expand one scenario for fluency development. In the afternoon, I had an important meeting with my team. We discussed our progress and upcoming deadlines. At first, I felt slightly nervous because I had to present my ideas. But once I started speaking, I became more confident. My team appreciated my suggestions, which made me feel proud. This is advanced workplace narration, integrated into daily storytelling. Now let's explore student life afternoons. After lunch, I attended my second lecture. The subject was challenging, so I had to concentrate deeply. I asked my teacher a few questions to clarify my doubts. Later, I worked on an assignment in the library. Education-based routines build academic vocabulary fluency. Let's practice emotional layering again, because afternoons often test patience, focus, and mood. You might say, by the afternoon, I started feeling tired. I felt mentally drained after continuous work. Or, despite being tired, I pushed myself to stay productive. Emotional resilience language reflects higher fluency. Now let's build contrast and cause-effect structures. Because I skipped coffee in the morning, I felt sleepy in the afternoon. Since I had completed my major tasks earlier, I felt relaxed later. Due to heavy workload, I couldn't take proper breaks. These connectors add logical sophistication to your English. Let's do a guided fluency exercise. Imagine you're speaking right now. Describe your afternoon using this flow. In the afternoon, I usually pause. Today, I spent most of my afternoon. Pause. One interesting thing that happened was, I felt. By the end of the afternoon, I was. This structure trains narrative continuity. Now let's expand vocabulary related to productivity. Instead of saying busy, you might say occupied, engaged, overloaded, instead of tired. Try fatigued, drained, burnt out. Instead of happy, you could say satisfied, accomplished, fulfilled. Vocabulary precision sharpens fluency perception. Let's embed that vocabulary into an advanced description. My afternoon was extremely productive. I remained fully engaged in my tasks, and managed to complete several pending assignments. Although I felt slightly fatigued by the end, I also felt a deep sense of accomplishment. This is how vocabulary elevates daily speech. Now let's explore interaction afternoons, because not every afternoon is about work or study. Sometimes you meet friends, run errands, or relax. You might say, "In the afternoon, I met a friend for coffee. I went shopping. I visited my relatives. I spent time playing sports." Everyday life offers endless speaking material. Let's expand one social example. This afternoon, I met my old friend at a cafe. We hadn't seen each other in months, so we had a lot to talk about. We shared updates about our lives, careers, and future plans. The conversation made me feel nostalgic and happy. Emotional plus situational storytelling builds conversational warmth. Now let's integrate spontaneous events, because real fluency includes unexpected moments. In the afternoon, something unexpected happened. My internet stopped working during an important meeting. At first, I panicked, but then I quickly switched to mobile data and continued the call. Problem solution narration is crucial for real-life English. Let's practice situational reflection. Although the issue stressed me initially, it taught me to stay calm under pressure. Reflection sentences demonstrate mature fluency. Now imagine a full layered afternoon narrative. Let it flow naturally. After finishing lunch, I returned to my desk and resumed my work. I had several deadlines approaching, so I focused deeply. Around 3 p.m., I attended a virtual meeting with my team. We brainstormed ideas and shared feedback. The discussion was intense, but productive. By late afternoon, I started feeling mentally tired, so I took a short break to refresh my mind. Do you feel the rhythm? That's storytelling fluency forming. Now let's shift slightly toward advanced descriptive language. Instead of saying, "I was busy all afternoon," you could say, "My afternoon was packed with back-to-back responsibilities," or "I barely had a moment to pause," or "The hours flew by without me noticing." Idiomatic phrasing signals advanced command. Let's practice idiomatic integration. I had so much work that I was racing against time. I was juggling multiple tasks simultaneously. I felt under pressure, but managed to stay on track. These phrases sound natural in professional conversation. Now let's introduce reflective fluency, describing thoughts, not just actions. During the afternoon, I realized how important time management is. I understood that planning my schedule earlier made my work easier. It gave me a sense of control over my responsibilities. Cognitive reflection deepens speaking sophistication. Let's do another guided speaking moment. Imagine someone asks, "What was the most challenging part of your afternoon?" You could say, "The most challenging part was staying focused after lunch. I felt sleepy, but I pushed myself to remain productive." Or, "Handling multiple tasks at once was difficult, but it improved my multitasking ability." Now let's combine all layers into one immersive description. My afternoon was both demanding and rewarding. I spent most of my time completing urgent assignments. At times, I felt overwhelmed by the workload. However, I stayed organized and managed my priorities efficiently. By the end of the afternoon, I felt exhausted, but satisfied with what I had accomplished. This balance of action, emotion, reflection, and vocabulary is what transforms simple English into fluent daily narration. Take a moment now and mentally walk through your own afternoon. What did you do after lunch? Who did you talk to? What challenges did you face? How did you feel? The more detail you practice, the more fluent your storytelling becomes. And just like that, your day begins moving toward the evening, where emotions slow down, reflections deepen, and conversations become more personal. As the afternoon slowly fades, your day begins transitioning into the evening, and this part of the day carries a very different emotional rhythm. The pressure of responsibilities starts to ease, conversations become more relaxed, and your thoughts begin shifting from productivity to reflection. Evening, English is deeply expressive because it blends actions with feelings, routine with relaxation, and experience with evaluation. Imagine someone asking you, "What do you usually do in the evening?" A beginner might say, "I watch TV in the evening." Simple, clear, but we can expand it naturally. In the evening, I usually watch TV to relax. I like watching movies or listening to music. Sometimes I go for a walk. Each addition makes your English more descriptive, more personal. Let's build a smooth beginner evening narrative together. In the evening, I come back home from work. I feel a little tired, so I take some rest. After that, I have tea with my family. We talk about our day. Then I watch TV or use my phone for some time. This kind of daily life description forms the core of conversational fluency. Now let's gently expand the detail level. When I return home in the evening, the first thing I do is change my clothes and freshen up. It helps me feel relaxed after a long day. Then I sit with my family, and we share how our day went. These small conversations make me feel emotionally connected. Notice how feelings enter the narrative again. Evening English often includes family interaction vocabulary. You might say, "I help my children with homework. I spend time with my parents. I cook dinner with my spouse. We sit together and watch a show." These sentences reflect home life fluency. Let's expand one family interaction example. In the evening, I usually help my younger brother with his studies. He often struggles with English, so I guide him patiently. Teaching him also improves my own understanding. It's a bonding time for both of us. This shows relational storytelling. Now let's explore relaxation activities, because evenings are strongly associated with unwinding. You might say, "In the evening, I go for a walk in the park. I listen to calm music. I read a book. Sometimes I just sit quietly and think." These expressions add lifestyle depth. Let's build an immersive relaxation description. After dinner preparation, I like to step outside for a short walk. The evening air feels refreshing. It helps me clear my mind after a busy day. Sometimes I listen to podcasts while walking, which makes the experience both relaxing and productive. Lifestyle vocabulary enhances fluency realism. Now let's introduce emotional decompression language. By evening, I usually feel mentally drained. I look forward to relaxing. Evenings feel peaceful to me. It's the time when I slow down. These phrases describe psychological transitions. Let's practice contrast reflection. Although my day is hectic, my evenings are calm. Even if I feel tired, I still make time for my family. While work stresses me, evening relaxation balances my mood. Contrast language strengthens expressive fluency. Now let's move toward dinner conversation English, because food often becomes a central daily discussion point. You might say, in the evening, I have dinner with my family. We usually eat together. Dinner is my favorite meal of the day. These are culturally universal speaking structures. Let's expand dinner. Narration. We usually sit together for dinner around 8 p.m. During dinner, we talk about what happened throughout the day. Sometimes we discuss news, plans, or family matters. It's the time when everyone reconnects. Communal vocabulary enriches storytelling. Now let's layer advanced descriptive vocabulary. Instead of saying tired, you could say physically exhausted, mentally drained, completely worn out. Instead of relaxed, you might say at ease, peaceful, unwound. Precision vocabulary signals advanced fluency. Let's embed that vocabulary into a full evening reflection. By the time evening arrives, I often feel mentally drained from the day's responsibilities. Sitting with my family helps me unwind. Their presence brings a sense of peace that refreshes my energy. Emotional articulation deepens listener connection. Now let's introduce hobby-related evenings. English, because hobbies are powerful conversation builders. You might say, in the evening, I practice guitar. I paint. I work out. I learn new skills online. These expressions reflect personal development. Let's expand a hobby narrative. In the evenings, I dedicate time to improving myself. Recently, I've been learning photography. I watch tutorials, practice editing, and experiment with lighting. It gives me a creative outlet beyond my daily responsibilities. This demonstrates intellectual fluency. Now, let's add social evening interaction. Sometimes I meet friends in the evening. We go out for dinner. We sit at a cafe and talk for hours. It helps me relax and disconnect from work stress. Social fluency builds conversational warmth. Let's deepen that example. Last evening, I met two close friends after a long time. We shared stories, laughed about old memories, and discussed our future goals. The conversation was so engaging that we didn't realize how quickly time passed. Nostalgic narration reflects emotional fluency. Now let's introduce unexpected evening situations. Yesterday evening, there was a power outage in my area. At first, it was frustrating, but then my family gathered in one room and started talking. Surprisingly, it turned into a memorable bonding moment. Turning problems into narratives strengthens storytelling ability. Let's move toward advanced evening reflection, because evenings are often when people think deeply. You might say, evenings are when I reflect on my day. I think about what went well and what didn't. I evaluate my progress. Reflective language signals higher cognitive fluency. Let's expand reflection narration. Every evening, I spend a few minutes analyzing my day. I ask myself whether I used my time wisely. I reflect on my achievements and mistakes. This habit helps me grow personally and professionally. Self-analysis vocabulary builds maturity in speech. Now let's do a guided evening speaking exercise. Imagine you're answering this. How do you usually spend your evenings? You could respond, my evenings are usually calm and structured. After returning home, I relax for a while, spend time with my family, and then focus on personal activities like reading or learning new skills. It's the part of the day I value the most. Now let's integrate all evening layers into one fluent narrative. Let it flow naturally. By the time evening arrives, I begin slowing down mentally. After returning home, I freshen up and sit with my family. We share tea and talk about our day. Later, I go for a short walk to relax my mind. After dinner, I either watch something educational or work on personal development. Evenings feel peaceful because they allow me to reconnect with myself. Do you feel how storytelling deepens here? It's no longer just routine. It's experience, emotion, reflection. Now let's gradually transition toward late evening and night, where fluency becomes even more introspective, where you describe thoughts, plans, gratitude, and rest. Because talking about your day doesn't end when dinner ends. It concludes when you reflect on the entire journey. As the evening slowly turns into night, the pace of life softens even more. Conversations become quieter, movements become slower, and your thoughts begin gathering everything that happened throughout the day. Nighttime English is deeply reflective because it allows you to summarize, evaluate, and emotionally process your experiences. It's the part of the day where fluency shifts from action-based speaking to introspective expression. Imagine someone asking you, "What do you usually do at night?" A beginner might answer, "I sleep at night." Clear, correct, but we can expand gently. At night, I have dinner and then go to sleep. Before sleeping, I use my phone. Sometimes I watch a movie before bed. These simple expansions already begin forming routine narration. Let's build a beginner nighttime description together. At night, I finish my dinner and then relax for some time. I watch TV or scroll through my phone. After that, I brush my teeth and get ready for bed. Then I lie down and fall asleep. This is foundational daily life English. Now let's expand detail and atmosphere. At night, after finishing my responsibilities, I like to unwind slowly. I dim the lights in my room and sit quietly for a while. Sometimes I listen to calm music. It helps me relax mentally before sleeping. Night vocabulary often includes calmness and comfort. Let's introduce bedtime preparation language. You might say, before sleeping, I set my alarm. I prepare my clothes for the next day. I organize my desk. I plan my schedule. These habits show responsibility-based fluency. Let's expand one preparation narrative. Before going to bed, I always prepare for the next day. I set my alarm, arrange my clothes, and make a small to-do list. This habit helps me feel organized and reduces morning stress. Planning vocabulary integrates productivity into daily storytelling. Now let's introduce nighttime reflection, because this is where advanced fluency begins emerging strongly. You might say, at night, I think about my day. I remember what I did. I reflect on my mistakes. Reflection language adds psychological depth. Let's build a reflective narrative. Before sleeping, I spend a few quiet minutes thinking about how my day went. I think about what I achieved and what I could improve. It helps me learn from my experiences and prepare mentally for tomorrow. Reflective fluency shows maturity in communication. Now let's introduce gratitude expression, an advanced emotional layer. You might say, at night, I feel grateful for my day. I appreciate the good moments. I feel thankful for my family and health. Gratitude vocabulary enhances emotional articulation. Let's expand gratitude narration. Every night, before sleeping, I remind myself of the things I'm grateful for. Even if the day was stressful, I try to find at least one positive moment. This mindset helps me sleep peacefully. Emotional awareness strengthens advanced speaking ability. Now let's introduce mental decompression language. By night, my mind feels overloaded. I feel mentally exhausted. Sleeping feels like a reset. Night English often includes recovery vocabulary. Let's integrate that into a narrative. By the time I go to bed, I often feel mentally exhausted from the day's responsibilities. Lying down feels comforting. It's like my mind finally gets permission to rest. Figurative language signals higher fluency. Now let's practice dream and sleep quality expressions. I fall asleep quickly. I struggle to sleep sometimes. I sleep deeply. I wake up during the night. Sleep vocabulary frequently appears in daily conversation. Let's expand sleep description. Some nights, I fall asleep within minutes because I'm physically tired. But on stressful days, my mind keeps thinking, making it harder to sleep. On such nights, I try breathing exercises to calm myself. Problem solution narration builds realism. Now let's introduce advanced introspection. Nighttime is when I analyze my growth. I think about my long-term goals. I evaluate my progress in life. These reflections elevate conversation from routine to philosophical depth. Let's expand that layer. Late at night, when everything is quiet, I often think about my future. I ask myself whether I'm moving in the right direction. These thoughts motivate me to improve myself daily. Purpose-driven fluency reflects an advanced speaking mindset. Now let's build a full immersive night narrative together. Let it flow slowly, naturally. After finishing dinner, I spend some time relaxing. I either watch something light or talk with my family. Later, I prepare for the next day by setting my alarm and organizing my essentials. Before sleeping, I reflect on my day, the achievements, the challenges, and the lessons. Finally, I lie down, close my eyes, and let my mind drift into rest. Now let's introduce emotional closure language. By the end of the night, I feel calm. I feel satisfied. I feel hopeful about tomorrow. Closure expressions complete daily storytelling. Let's integrate that into a reflection. As I close my day, I feel a sense of closure, no matter how busy or difficult the day was. Night brings emotional balance. It reminds me that every day ends, and a new one begins. Philosophical fluency adds narrative depth. Now let's practice a guided full-day night summary. Imagine someone asks you, "How was your day overall?" You could answer, "Overall, my day was quite productive. I completed my responsibilities, spent time with my family, and also took time to relax. Although there were a few stressful moments, I managed them well. I feel satisfied as the day ends." Now let's expand that summary toward advanced fluency. If I reflect on my entire day, I'd say it was both challenging and fulfilling. I faced multiple responsibilities, learned new things, and shared meaningful conversations. Despite moments of fatigue, I feel grateful and motivated for tomorrow. This is where daily routine English transforms into life narrative English. Take a moment now and mentally walk through your entire day, from morning to night. Notice how many actions you performed, how many emotions you felt, how many conversations you had. Every one of these is material for fluent English speaking, and when you learn to describe them smoothly, your fluency stops being academic and starts becoming personal. Because speaking English fluently isn't about memorizing complex grammar. It's about telling the story of your life, clearly, confidently, and naturally. Now that you've walked through your day from morning to night, we begin moving into a deeper level of fluency, where you're no longer just describing routines, but narrating your day as a complete life experience. Because when someone asks you, "Tell me about your day," they're not only asking what you did, they're asking how you lived those moments, how you felt, what you learned, and how the day shaped your thoughts. At a beginner level, you might answer simply, "My day was good. I went to work, I came home, and I slept." And that's perfectly fine, because fluency always begins with clarity. But as your English grows, your answers become more layered, more descriptive, more expressive. Let's slowly expand that same response. My day was quite productive. I completed my work tasks on time. I had meaningful conversations with colleagues, and I spent relaxing time with my family in the evening. Notice how the structure now includes achievement, interaction, and emotional closure. Now let's move toward storytelling fluency. Imagine you're speaking to a friend who genuinely wants to know about your day. You might say, "Today was one of those days where everything felt fast-paced. From the moment I woke up, I had responsibilities waiting. I barely had time to rest, but by the end of the day, I felt accomplished." This type of narration adds tempo and atmosphere. Let's practice adding situational detail. In the morning, I had an important presentation. I was nervous at first, but once I began speaking, my confidence grew. The presentation went better than expected, which boosted my mood for the rest of the day. This demonstrates situational storytelling. Now, let's explore challenge-based narration. Because not every day goes smoothly. Fluency also requires expressing difficulties. You might say, "My day was quite stressful. I had multiple deadlines approaching, and I struggled to manage my time. At one point, I felt overwhelmed, but I took a short break and reorganized my priorities." Problem management language shows advanced speaking maturity. Let's expand emotional resilience vocabulary. Instead of saying stressed, you might say under pressure, mentally strained, overburdened. Instead of happy, you could say relieved, satisfied, content. These subtle variations signal linguistic sophistication. Now, let's integrate emotional transformation. Although my day started with stress, it gradually improved. Completing my tasks gave me relief, and by evening, I felt emotionally lighter. Transformation storytelling adds narrative arc. Let's introduce social storytelling again. One of the best parts of my day was meeting an old friend unexpectedly. We hadn't spoken in years. Our conversation brought back so many memories. It reminded me how valuable friendships are. Personal moments enrich daily narration. Now, let's explore reflective learning expression, because advanced speakers often discuss what they learned from their day. You might say, "Today taught me the importance of patience. I realized that staying calm helps solve problems faster." Reflection language signals intellectual fluency. Let's expand that idea. Throughout the day, I encountered situations that tested my patience. Initially, I reacted emotionally, but later I realized that calm thinking produces better outcomes. It was a small but meaningful lesson. Insight-based narration deepens storytelling. Now let's practice future-oriented reflection. By the end of the day, I felt motivated to improve myself. I decided to manage my time better tomorrow and focus more on my priorities. Planning language connects present experience with future growth. Let's move toward advanced vocabulary layering. Instead of saying busy day, you could say demanding day, eventful day, hectic schedule. Instead of good day, try fulfilling day, rewarding experience, memorable day. Precision vocabulary strengthens narrative tone. Let's embed that vocabulary into a full description. Overall, my day was demanding yet fulfilling. I faced several challenges, but overcoming them gave me a sense of accomplishment. It reminded me that productivity often comes with effort. Now let's introduce time perception fluency, describing how the day felt rather than what happened. You might say, the day flew by quickly. Time seemed to move slowly. I didn't realize how fast the hours passed. These phrases add experiential depth. Let's expand that. My schedule was so packed that the day flew by without me noticing. By the time I looked at the clock, it was already evening. It felt like time accelerated. Perception vocabulary enhances storytelling immersion. Now, let's explore energy cycle narration. I started the day feeling energetic. By afternoon, I felt drained. But after resting in the evening, my energy returned. Physical and mental rhythm narration builds holistic fluency. Let's integrate that into a reflection. My energy fluctuated throughout the day. Morning motivation pushed me forward. Afternoon fatigue slowed me down. But evening relaxation restored my balance. Balanced narration signals advanced expression. Now let's practice a guided advanced speaking exercise. Imagine someone asks, if you had to describe your day in one word, what would it be? You might answer, productive, because I completed important tasks, or challenging, because I faced unexpected problems, or rewarding, because I learned valuable lessons. One-word summaries develop evaluative fluency. Now let's expand that one-word reflection. If I had to describe my day in one word, I'd say transformative, because I not only completed my work, but also learned new things about myself. This level of vocabulary signals near advanced fluency. Let's build a full immersive day story narrative now. Let the sentences flow naturally. If I look back at my day as a whole, it was filled with movement, responsibility, and reflection. From early morning commitments to late-night thoughts, every phase carried its own experience. I encountered pressure, solved problems, shared conversations, and found moments of peace. By the time night arrived, I felt physically tired, but mentally enriched. Now let's introduce gratitude meets growth reflection. Days like these remind me how important balance is. Productivity matters, but so does emotional well-being. Learning to manage both is part of becoming mature. Philosophical fluency enhances narrative closure. Take a moment now and imagine describing your entire day to someone who truly cares about your life. You wouldn't speak in short sentences. You would narrate, reflect, and express feelings. That is the level of fluency you're building. Because advanced English isn't about complicated grammar, it's about meaningful storytelling. It's about turning your daily routine into a fluent life narrative. And as you practice this every day, your English stops sounding learned and starts sounding lived. As your fluency continues developing, the next stage is learning how to talk about your day not only as a story, but as a conversation. Because in real life, you rarely speak in long monologues. Instead, you respond to questions, you add details when someone shows interest, and you adjust your description depending on who you're talking to. This conversational adaptability is what moves you from structured speaking into natural communication. Imagine someone asking you casually, "So, how was your day?" At a beginner level, you might respond, "It was good." That's polite, but it ends the conversation quickly. To keep interaction flowing, you expand slightly. "It was good. I was quite busy at work today." Now the listener has something to respond to. Let's build a conversational expansion together. "It was good. I had a lot of tasks to complete, but I managed everything on time. How about you?" Notice how you describe your day and return the question. That's conversational fluency in action. Now let's practice a workplace dialogue narrative. Imagine speaking to a colleague. "My day was quite demanding. I had back-to-back meetings throughout the morning. By afternoon, I felt mentally exhausted. But we finally finalized the project plan." This shows professional situational fluency. If the colleague asks, "What was the most challenging part?" you might respond, "The most challenging part was presenting our progress report. I was under pressure because senior management was present, but it went smoother than I expected." Pressure narration strengthens workplace communication. Now let's explore academic conversational narration. A classmate asks, "How was college today?" You respond, "It was interesting. We had a detailed lecture on economics. At first, the topic felt complex, but once the professor explained it with examples, I understood better." Academic reflection builds intellectual fluency. Let's expand the dialogue flow. After the lecture, I spent some time in the library working on my assignment. It required a lot of research, but I felt satisfied once I completed it. Satisfaction language adds emotional closure. Now let's introduce social life conversation. A friend asks, "Did anything fun happen today?" You might say, "Actually, yes. I met an old friend unexpectedly during lunch. We hadn't spoken in years. It was such a pleasant surprise." Social storytelling enhances relatability. Let's deepen that narration. "We ended up talking for almost an hour. We shared updates about our lives, careers, and goals." Moments like these make ordinary days feel special. Emotional warmth strengthens conversational engagement. Now let's introduce negative day conversation fluency. Because not every day is positive. If someone asks, "How was your day?" you might say, "Honestly, it was quite stressful. I had too many responsibilities and not enough time." Expressing difficulty is part of authentic fluency. Let's expand emotional honesty. "There were moments when I felt overwhelmed, but I tried to stay calm and focus on one task at a time. Eventually, I managed everything." Emotional resilience builds credibility in speech. Now let's practice balanced response fluency. "My day had both good and challenging moments. Work was demanding, but spending time with my family in the evening balanced my mood." Balanced narration shows emotional intelligence. Let's explore conversational follow-up questions, because fluent speakers don't just answer, they engage. After describing your day, you might ask, "How was your day? Did anything interesting happen? Were you busy too?" Conversation is mutual storytelling. Now let's introduce descriptive conversational vocabulary. Instead of saying very busy, you might say extremely hectic, packed with responsibilities, non-stop work. Instead of fun, you might say enjoyable, memorable, refreshing. Word choice shapes conversational tone. Let's embed vocabulary into dialogue narration. My day was extremely hectic. I barely had time to take breaks. But finishing my tasks gave me a refreshing sense of accomplishment. Emotional. Resolution strengthens narrative impact. Now let's explore evening conversation narration. A family member asks, "How did your day go?" You might respond, "It was productive overall. I managed my responsibilities well. Although I felt tired by evening, I felt satisfied with what I achieved." Family conversation fluency often blends work and emotion. Let's expand home dialogue warmth. Talking about my day with my family helps me release stress. Their support makes difficult days feel lighter. Emotional sharing builds relational fluency. Now let's introduce storytelling pacing techniques. Fluent speakers vary detail based on listener interest. If someone shows curiosity, you expand. If not, you summarize. For example, "My day was busy. I had an important client presentation." If they ask more, you continue. "I spent hours preparing for it, and thankfully, it was successful." This adaptive narration is advanced fluency behavior. Now let's practice spontaneous conversation simulation. Imagine this flow. "How was your day?" "Quite productive, actually. I completed my major tasks early." "That sounds great. Did anything challenging happen?" "Yes. I had to resolve a technical issue unexpectedly, but it taught me problem-solving skills." Real-life conversation includes exchange, curiosity, and elaboration. Let's explore emotional transparency in dialogue. "I won't lie. Today felt emotionally draining. I had a lot on my mind, but talking about it now makes me feel better." Emotional honesty deepens conversational connection. Now let's introduce humor in daily storytelling. "My day was so busy that I didn't even realize when lunchtime passed. I was basically racing against the clock." Light humor adds personality to fluency. Let's expand narrative humor. "At one point, I had so many tabs open on my computer that even my laptop seemed stressed." Playful exaggeration signals natural conversational ease. Now let's move toward reflective dialogue. Someone asks, "What did you learn today?" You might respond, "I learned that patience is essential. Rushing tasks only increases mistakes. Slowing down improved my productivity." Learning-based reflection shows maturity in speech. Let's expand growth reflection. Every day teaches something new. Today reminded me that staying organized reduces stress significantly. Life lesson fluency enriches storytelling depth. Now let's build a full conversational day narrative. Let it flow naturally. If I had to summarize my day while talking to someone, I'd say it was a mix of productivity and reflection. Work kept me occupied throughout the morning and afternoon. I faced a few challenges, but managed them calmly. By evening, spending time with family restored my energy, Overall, it was a fulfilling day. Now pause mentally and imagine yourself having this exact conversation, speaking calmly, naturally, confidently, describing your day without searching for words, because this is where fluency becomes conversational, not rehearsed. And once you can comfortably talk about your day in dialogue form, you can speak English in any real-life interaction, as your ability to describe your day conversationally becomes more natural. The next level of fluency develops when you begin expressing deeper emotional nuance. Because advanced English is not only about what happened, it's about how intensely you experienced it, how situations affected your mood, your motivation, your energy, and even your mindset. Imagine someone asking you again, "How was your day?" But this time, instead of giving a general summary, you respond with emotional detail. You might say, "My day was emotionally exhausting, not because of physical work, but because I had to handle several mentally demanding situations." Notice how this response moves beyond routine description into psychological narration. Let's build emotional intensity vocabulary. Instead of saying tired, you might say emotionally drained, mentally fatigued, psychologically overwhelmed. Instead of happy, you could say deeply fulfilled, genuinely content, emotionally uplifted. These expressions signal advanced emotional fluency. Let's integrate emotional nuance into a full narrative. Today was one of those days that tested my patience. I had to remain calm in situations where I felt internally frustrated. By the end of the day, I was emotionally drained, but also proud that I handled everything maturely. Emotional contrast builds narrative strength. Now let's explore motivation-based storytelling, because some days energize you rather than exhaust you. You might say, "My day was incredibly motivating. I achieved goals that I had been postponing for weeks." Achievement vocabulary elevates storytelling tone. Let's expand that. Completing those tasks gave me a renewed sense of confidence. It reminded me that progress happens when we stay consistent. Reflection tied to achievement strengthens fluency impact. Now, let's introduce disappointment narration, an essential emotional category. You might say, "To be honest, my day didn't go as planned. I faced setbacks that delayed my progress." Expressing disappointment authentically builds conversational realism. Let's expand emotional disappointment. "I had high expectations from a meeting today, but the outcome wasn't as positive as I hoped. Initially, I felt discouraged, but later, I reminded myself that setbacks are temporary." Emotional recovery narration signals psychological maturity. Now let's explore stress management storytelling. Throughout the day, I encountered situations that could have easily overwhelmed me, but I consciously chose to stay composed. I focused on solutions rather than problems. Cognitive control vocabulary reflects advanced fluency. Let's deepen that reflection. I realized that stress often comes from overthinking. Once I simplified my perspective, handling responsibilities became easier. Insight-based narration enhances intellectual expression. Now let's introduce excitement narration, because not all emotional intensity is negative. You might say, "Today was incredibly exciting. Something unexpected happened that made my entire day memorable." Excitement vocabulary energizes storytelling. Let's expand. "I received news that I had been waiting for. When I heard it, I felt a surge of happiness." It instantly lifted my mood and made all my hard work feel worthwhile. Emotional climax narration adds dramatic depth. Now let's explore gratitude meets struggle narration. Even though my day was challenging, I still feel grateful because every challenge taught me something valuable. Balanced emotional framing shows reflective fluency. Let's build that further. I've started realizing that difficult days contribute more to personal growth than easy ones. They build resilience. Philosophical interpretation elevates narrative sophistication. Now let's introduce sensory storytelling, describing how the day felt physically and atmospherically. You might say, the day felt heavy, slow, almost overwhelming. Or, the day felt light and energetic. Everything flowed smoothly. Sensory language enriches immersion. Let's expand sensory narration. From the moment I woke up, I sensed the day would be demanding. The pace never slowed. Even the atmosphere at work felt intense. Environmental perception strengthens storytelling. Now let's introduce inner dialogue narration. Advanced speakers often describe their thoughts during the day. You might say, at one point, I told myself to stay calm and keep going. Or, I reminded myself that difficult moments are temporary. Internal monologue language adds depth. Let's expand that. During a stressful situation, I paused and spoke to myself mentally. I told myself that panicking wouldn't help. That inner dialogue helped me regain control. Psychological narration reflects high-level fluency. Now let's explore energy recovery storytelling. By evening, I consciously shifted my focus toward relaxation. I allowed myself time to decompress. It helped restore my emotional balance. Recovery vocabulary completes emotional arcs. Let's deepen that reflection. I've realized that managing my emotional energy is just as important as managing my time. Both determine how fulfilling my day feels. Insight-driven narration signals advanced maturity. Now let's practice a guided emotional fluency exercise. Imagine answering this question. What emotion defined your day? You might say, resilience, because despite challenges, I stayed strong. Or, gratitude, because I appreciated small positive moments. Or, motivation, because I made meaningful progress. One emotion summaries sharpen evaluative fluency. Let's expand that. If I had to describe my day emotionally, I'd call it transformational, because it pushed me outside my comfort zone and helped me grow. Advanced vocabulary conveys psychological evolution. Now let's integrate emotional nuance into a full immersive narrative. Let it flow slowly. My day wasn't just a sequence of tasks, it was an emotional journey. There were moments of pressure that tested my patience, moments of achievement that boosted my confidence, and quiet moments of reflection that deepened my understanding of myself. By night, I felt emotionally tired, but mentally stronger. Now pause mentally and consider your own emotional journey today. Not just what you did, but what you felt. Because when you can express emotions clearly in English, your fluency becomes authentic, relatable, human, and that's the transition from functional English to expressive English, from describing life to communicating experience. As your fluency deepens further, the next transformation happens when your English begins sounding more natural, more native-like, and more stylistically rich. This is where idioms, phrasal verbs, and metaphorical expressions begin shaping how you talk about your day. Because native speakers rarely describe their routines in plain literal language. They color their experiences with expressive phrasing that conveys emotion, intensity, and personality. Imagine again someone asking you, "How was your day?" at an advanced level. Instead of saying, "I was very busy," you might say, "I was swamped with work," or "I had a lot on my plate," or even, "It was nonstop from morning till evening." These idiomatic structures instantly make your speech sound more fluent and conversational. Let's explore idiomatic workload expressions. You could say, "My schedule was packed. I was juggling multiple responsibilities. I barely had a moment to breathe." Each phrase paints a vivid picture of your day rather than simply stating facts. Let's embed those into a narrative. Today was incredibly demanding. I was juggling multiple responsibilities at once. My calendar was packed with meetings, and I barely had time to catch my breath. But somehow, I managed to stay on track. Notice how idioms create storytelling energy. Now, let's introduce time pressure idioms. Instead of saying, "I had little time," you might say, "I was racing against the clock," or "Time slipped through my fingers," or "I was pressed for time all day." These expressions dramatize urgency. Let's expand that into narration. Throughout the afternoon, I felt like I was racing against the clock. Deadlines were approaching quickly, and every minute felt valuable. It forced me to stay fully focused. Now, let's explore productivity idioms. "I hit the ground running this morning," meaning you started your day energetically. Or, "I got the ball rolling early," meaning you initiated progress quickly. These phrases elevate professional storytelling. Let's integrate that. "I hit the ground running today. I started working immediately after waking up. That early momentum helped me stay productive throughout the day." Now let's move toward emotional idioms. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," you might say, "I had butterflies in my stomach," or "I felt on edge." Emotional idioms humanize storytelling. Let's expand that. "Before my presentation, I had butterflies in my stomach. My hands felt slightly cold, but once I began speaking, my confidence settled in." Now let's introduce success idioms. "Everything fell into place." "The plan worked like a charm." "It turned out better than expected." These phrases express achievement smoothly. Let's embed that into narration. After weeks of preparation, the project presentation finally happened today. Thankfully, everything fell into place. The feedback was positive, and I felt deeply satisfied. Now let's explore difficulty idioms. "I hit a roadblock." "Things didn't go as planned." "I had to think on my feet." These expressions narrate challenges dynamically. Let's expand. "Midway through my work, I hit a roadblock. A technical issue disrupted my progress. I had to think on my feet and find an alternative solution quickly." Now let's introduce phrasal verbs, an essential part of advanced fluency. Instead of saying "continue," you might say "carry on." Instead of "cancel," you might say "call off." Instead of "start," you might say "kick off." Phrasal verbs create conversational authenticity. Let's embed them into daily narration. After lunch, I carried on with my work. I had planned to meet a friend, but we had to call it off due to schedule conflicts. So I used that time to catch up on pending tasks. Now let's introduce recovery idioms. I bounced back. I got back on track. I picked myself up. These phrases express resilience. Let's expand that. Although the morning didn't start well, I bounced back by afternoon. I reorganized my tasks and regained productivity. Now let's explore relaxation idioms. I unwound in the evening. I took it easy. I put my feet up. These phrases express decompression naturally. Let's embed that. After a hectic day, I finally put my feet up in the evening. I listened to music and allowed myself to unwind. Now let's move toward metaphorical day descriptions. Instead of literal narration, you describe the day symbolically. You might say, "My day felt like a roller coaster. It was a marathon, not a sprint. It felt like navigating through waves." Metaphors add storytelling artistry. Let's expand metaphorical narration. Today felt like a roller coaster ride. There were moments of stress that climbed steeply, followed by moments of relief that brought me back down. It was emotionally intense, but memorable. Now let's introduce energy metaphors. By afternoon, my battery was running low. I felt recharged after resting. Technology metaphors are common in modern English. Let's embed that. After back-to-back meetings, my mental battery was running low. Taking a short walk helped me recharge. Now let's explore advanced day summary idiomatic narration. If I had to sum up my day, I'd say it was a whirlwind. Fast-paced, unpredictable, but ultimately rewarding. Whirlwind metaphor conveys intensity. Let's deepen that. The day moved so quickly that I barely processed events as they happened. But looking back, it was productive and meaningful. Now let's practice guided idiomatic fluency. Imagine describing your day using at least 3 idioms. My schedule was packed. I was racing against the clock, but by evening, everything fell into place. This layered idiomatic narration signals high conversational fluency. Now let's integrate idioms, phrasal verbs, and metaphors into one immersive narrative. Let it flow naturally. I hit the ground running this morning. My schedule was packed, and I was juggling multiple responsibilities. By afternoon, I felt like I was racing against the clock. At one point, I hit a roadblock, but I thought on my feet and got back on track. By evening, I finally put my feet up and allowed myself to unwind. Looking back, the day felt like a roller coaster, exhausting but fulfilling. Now pause mentally and notice how different this sounds from beginner narration. It's vivid, expressive, dynamic. Because advanced fluency isn't just about speaking correctly, it's about speaking colorfully, turning ordinary routines into compelling narratives. And when you master idioms and phrasal verbs, your English begins sounding naturally fluent, almost effortless. As your fluency continues evolving, the next stage moves beyond describing events, emotions, or expressions, and enters the space of deeper reflection about life balance, priorities, personal growth, and mindset. Because when advanced speakers talk about their day, they often connect daily experiences to larger life themes. They don't just say what happened, they explain what it meant. Imagine someone asking you, "What did your day teach you?" This question moves conversation from routine narration into reflective fluency. You might say, "Today taught me the importance of staying organized. When I planned my tasks clearly, everything became easier to manage." This kind of response shows cognitive processing. Let's expand reflective learning narration. Throughout the day, I realized how much mindset affects productivity. When I approached tasks calmly, they felt manageable, but when I felt stressed, even simple responsibilities seemed overwhelming. This contrast highlights psychological awareness. Now let's explore time management. Reflection, a common advanced discussion theme. You might say, one thing I understood today is how valuable time is. Every hour matters. When used wisely, it brings results. When wasted, it creates pressure. Philosophical time vocabulary elevates fluency. Let's deepen that reflection. There were moments today when I felt time slipping away. It reminded me that discipline isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. Insight narration strengthens intellectual communication. Now let's introduce work-life balance storytelling, because many people reflect on whether their day felt balanced. You might say, my day was productive, but I wish I had taken more breaks. I realized that constant work drains long-term energy. Balanced vocabulary adds lifestyle awareness. Let's expand. By evening, I felt physically present, but mentally absent. That's when I understood that productivity without rest isn't sustainable. Metaphorical balanced narration deepens expression. Now let's explore personal growth narration. You might say, every day contributes to who I'm becoming. Even small routines shape discipline. Growth-oriented language signals maturity. Let's expand that idea. Today's challenges reminded me that growth rarely feels comfortable. It often comes disguised as pressure, responsibility, and accountability. Philosophical framing enhances storytelling depth. Now let's introduce resilience reflection. Looking back, I handled stress better than I would have a year ago. That realization made me proud of my progress. Self-comparison narration highlights development. Let's deepen that. I've started noticing how my reactions to problems have changed. Earlier, I would panic. Now, I pause, analyze, and respond calmly. Behavioral evolution language strengthens fluency credibility. Now let's explore motivation storytelling. At the end of the day, I felt motivated to continue improving myself. Days like these push me to stay consistent. Motivation vocabulary energizes reflection. Let's expand. Even though the day was exhausting, it reinforced my belief that persistence leads to progress. That realization alone made the day worthwhile. Meaning-based narration builds philosophical fluency. Now let's introduce purpose-driven reflection. Sometimes I ask myself whether my daily actions align with my long-term goals. Today felt aligned, and that gave me peace. Purpose vocabulary elevates narrative tone. Let's deepen that reflection. When daily efforts connect to future aspirations, even tiring days feel meaningful. They feel like investments rather than burdens. Perspective framing enhances intellectual depth. Now let's explore gratitude meets growth narration again, but at a more advanced level. I've started appreciating even stressful days because they reveal strengths I didn't know I had. Self-discovery language signals advanced emotional intelligence. Let's expand. Today showed me that patience, focus, and emotional control are skills, not traits, and they grow with practice. Analytical reflection strengthens communicative authority. Now let's introduce environmental reflection. How surroundings influenced your day. You might say, the atmosphere at work today felt intense. Everyone seemed focused, which pushed me to stay productive. Environmental awareness enriches narration. Let's deepen that. Energy is contagious. Being around motivated people made me more disciplined. Social psychology vocabulary adds dimension. Now let's explore mindset shift narration. Earlier, I used to see busy days as stressful. Now I see them as opportunities to grow. Perspective transformation signals maturity. Let's expand. Changing my mindset didn't reduce responsibilities, but it changed how I experienced them. Cognitive reframing language deepens fluency sophistication. Now let's practice guided reflective speaking. Imagine answering this. What did today teach you about yourself? You might say, today taught me that I'm more capable than I thought. I handled situations calmly that would have stressed me before. Self-realization narration strengthens confidence. Now let's build a full immersive reflection narrative. Let it flow slowly. If I reflect deeply on my day, it wasn't just about tasks and responsibilities. It was about patience, discipline, and emotional growth. Every interaction taught me something. Every challenge tested me, and every solution strengthened me. By the end of the day, I didn't just feel tired. I felt evolved. Now pause mentally and consider your own reflection tonight. Not just what you did, but what you learned. Because when you speak about lessons, your English becomes philosophical. And when your English becomes philosophical, it becomes powerful, it becomes memorable, it becomes truly advanced, as your reflection about the day naturally leads your thoughts forward. The next stage of advanced fluency begins when you start talking not only about what happened or what you learned, but about what comes next. Because when people talk about their day at an advanced level, they often connect it to their future plans, their ambitions, their improvements, and their long-term vision. This future-oriented narration transforms daily English from simple storytelling into purposeful communication. Imagine someone asking you, after a day like this, what are your plans for tomorrow? A beginner might say, tomorrow I will work. Simple, correct. But now let's expand gradually. Tomorrow I plan to finish my pending tasks. I want to start my day earlier. I will try to be more organized. Small expansions create intentional fluency. Let's build a structured future reflection. After analyzing my day today, I've decided to manage my time more effectively tomorrow. I want to prioritize important work in the morning so that my afternoon feels less stressful. Notice how reflection connects to planning. Now let's introduce improvement-based narration. You might say, one thing I want to improve is my focus. I noticed that distractions slowed my productivity today, so tomorrow I'll try to minimize interruptions. Self-improvement vocabulary strengthens maturity in speech. Let's expand that further. I also plan to take short breaks between tasks. I realized today that continuous work drains my mental energy faster. Balance-oriented planning shows psychological awareness. Now, let's explore goal-oriented storytelling, because advanced speakers often connect daily routines to bigger ambitions. You might say, every productive day brings me closer to my long-term goals. Today's efforts may seem small, but they contribute to my bigger vision. Aspirational language deepens narrative meaning. Let's expand that. I remind myself that consistency matters more than intensity. Even moderate progress every day creates long-term transformation. Philosophical planning adds intellectual tone. Now let's introduce dream-building narration. Sometimes at night, I visualize the future I want to build. I imagine achieving my goals, improving my skills, and living the life I aspire to. Visualization vocabulary enriches storytelling. Let's deepen that reflection. Thinking about my dreams motivates me to take daily actions seriously. It reminds me that every ordinary day plays a role in shaping an extraordinary future. Motivational. Fluency strengthens emotional resonance. Now let's explore career-focused future narration. You might say, after today's experiences, I feel more determined to grow professionally. I want to learn new skills that make me more capable. Career vocabulary integrates ambition. Let's expand. I've realized that growth doesn't happen automatically. It requires deliberate effort, learning, and adaptability. Professional reflection signals advanced communication competence. Now let's introduce personal life future planning. Beyond work, I also want to spend more quality time with my family. Today reminded me how valuable those moments are. Emotional priority narration balances ambition with humanity. Let's expand. Success feels incomplete without emotional connection. I want to maintain harmony between professional growth and personal relationships. Balance philosophy strengthens narrative depth. Now let's explore health-focused future narration. Today's fatigue reminded me that I need to care more about my physical health. Tomorrow, I plan to wake up earlier and exercise. Lifestyle vocabulary adds realism. Let's deepen that. I've started understanding that productivity depends on physical well-being. Energy fuels performance. Holistic reflection elevates fluency sophistication. Now let's introduce learning-focused future storytelling. Each day also motivates me to improve my English fluency. Talking about my day helps me practice real-life vocabulary, and I plan to continue doing it daily. Skill development narration aligns learning with routine. Let's expand. I believe that fluency grows when practice becomes part of lifestyle rather than an isolated activity. Learning philosophy strengthens intellectual communication. Now, let's practice guided future speaking. Imagine answering this. What will you do differently tomorrow? You might say, tomorrow, I'll start my day earlier, focus on priority tasks first, and avoid unnecessary distractions. I want my day to feel more structured and fulfilling. Structured planning narration signals organized thinking. Now let's integrate future vision into a full reflective narrative. Let it flow naturally. If I look ahead after reflecting on today, I feel motivated to improve. I want to manage my time better, take care of my mental and physical health, and stay consistent in my goals. I understand that meaningful change happens gradually, one day at a time. Now let's introduce hope-driven narration. Thinking about tomorrow fills me with optimism. No matter how today went, tomorrow offers a fresh opportunity. Hope vocabulary adds emotional uplift. Let's deepen that. Every sunrise resets the mind. It allows us to start again with clarity and determination. Symbolic narration enhances poetic fluency. Now let's move toward advanced future life storytelling. If I continue learning from each day, I believe my future will reflect that growth. My habits, my discipline, and my mindset will shape where I eventually stand. Long-term projection builds philosophical authority. Let's expand. I've started seeing each day not as an isolated experience, but as a building block of my life journey. Structural life metaphor strengthens narrative maturity. Now pause mentally and imagine speaking about your future after describing your day. Notice how your fluency now carries direction, purpose, aspiration, because when you can connect daily routines to long-term vision, your English stops sounding instructional and starts sounding inspirational. As you bring all these layers together, your ability to talk about your day transforms into something far more powerful than simple conversation. It becomes a complete narrative skill, one that allows you to describe actions, express emotions, reflect on lessons, and connect daily experiences to your future direction. This synthesis is what defines advanced fluency, because you're no longer speaking in isolated sentences, you're communicating lived experience. Imagine now that someone asks you to describe your entire day from beginning to end, not in short replies, but as a continuous story. At this stage, your narration flows naturally. You might begin by describing your morning energy, how you woke up, how your mindset shaped the start of your day, then move into the responsibilities that defined your afternoon, the challenges you encountered, the interactions you had, and the lessons that quietly formed in the background of those moments. You may say, "If I walk through my day from the beginning, it started with a sense of purpose. I woke up early, feeling determined to make the most of my time. My morning routine helped me organize my thoughts, and that clarity followed me into my work. As the day progressed, responsibilities intensified, meetings, conversations, and tasks demanded my attention. At times, I felt pressure building, but I stayed focused on solutions rather than stress. Notice how fluency here is no longer about vocabulary alone. It's about sequencing thoughts, connecting experiences, and guiding the listener through your day as if they were living it alongside you. You might continue. By afternoon, my energy fluctuated. There were moments when fatigue set in, but I reminded myself why I started. That inner dialogue helped me push forward. I completed my tasks steadily, one responsibility at a time, and gradually, the pressure began to ease. This kind of narration blends physical experience with mental resilience. As your day moves toward evening in your story, emotional balance begins appearing. You may describe returning home, transitioning from productivity to personal connection, sharing moments with family, or finding peace in solitude. Evening brought a slower rhythm. I allowed myself to unwind. I spoke with my loved ones, and those simple conversations dissolved the stress I had carried throughout the day. And as night enters your narration, reflection becomes the centerpiece. Before sleeping, I reflected on everything that had happened, the achievements that made me proud, the challenges that made me stronger, and the lessons that shaped my mindset. I realized that even an ordinary day carries extraordinary growth when viewed closely. At this level, you're not just describing your day, you're interpreting it. You're extracting meaning from routine. You're transforming daily life into thoughtful communication. Now imagine narrating your day not only factually, but symbolically. You might say, "My day felt like a journey, one that began with motivation, climbed through pressure, paused in reflection, and settled into gratitude by night." Metaphorical narration signals complete expressive fluency. You may even connect your day to life philosophy. Days like these remind me that progress isn't always visible immediately, but every effort contributes quietly to long-term growth. This type of insight-driven speaking reflects mastery, and when you combine all elements, routine description, emotional awareness, idiomatic expression, reflective insight, and future vision, your English becomes multidimensional. You can describe a simple breakfast or a life lesson drawn from a stressful meeting. You can talk about feeling tired or about emotional resilience built through responsibility. You can narrate a routine or tell the story of your personal evolution through a single day. Let's now bring everything into one complete immersive narrative flow, allowing every fluency layer to merge naturally. If I reflect on my day as a whole, it felt like a full cycle of experience. I began the morning with clarity and intention, organized my thoughts, and stepped into my responsibilities with focus. As the hours progressed, challenges emerged that tested my patience and adaptability. There were moments when pressure felt overwhelming, yet I navigated them with calm determination. By afternoon, my energy wavered, but I continued moving forward, motivated by my goals. Evening arrived as a gentle pause, offering space to reconnect emotionally and mentally. Conversations with loved ones restored balance within me, and as night settled in, reflection brought perspective. I realized that every task, every conversation, and every challenge had contributed to my growth. By the time I closed my eyes, I didn't just feel tired, I felt fulfilled, aware that even an ordinary day had quietly shaped the person I am becoming. When you can speak like this, your fluency is no longer limited by level labels such as beginner or advanced, because you've learned the full spectrum. You can speak simply when needed. You can expand when invited. You can reflect when thoughtful. You can narrate when expressive. And most importantly, you can tell the story of your day, any day, with clarity, emotion, and confidence, and that ability, practiced daily, transforms English from a subject you study into a language you live. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today and for allowing me to be part of your English learning journey. I truly hope that this lesson helped you feel more confident about talking about your day in English, from simple beginner sentences to more detailed intermediate expressions, and all the way to advanced, reflective storytelling. Remember, fluency doesn't happen overnight. It grows when you practice speaking about real life, your routines, your emotions, your thoughts, and your experiences. So make it a habit to describe your day in English every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Because the more you speak about your life, the more natural your English will become. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep believing in your progress, because every sentence you speak brings you one step closer to true fluency. I'll see you in the next lesson.